Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited that you're here today, and we have an incredible guest, Lisa Tenner, who I am just thrilled to have her expertise today to talk about your book proposal and how you land major deals with agents and with traditional book publishers. And I'm going to introduce Lisa in just a quick second, and I can't wait for you to meet her. But before we do, I just want to go through the technology really quickly. And that is that I'd love for you to say hello in the chat so I know that all is well. In fact, let me just jump over there right now and make sure that you can hear me and see me. And let's see. Woo! Just give me 1 second. And you're able, oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, Anthony, Angela, Dave, Gail, Kate, Linda, Shailene, Brenda, Tammy, Najumnisa, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, B, Tara, Liz, Jesse, Heidi, Jerry. I welcome all of you. The list goes on. How wonderful. We have hundreds of people signed up to hear Lisa share her knowledge with us today. And oh, good. Hi, Sophia. She's saying, I'm so excited. So this is great, Lisa. And wonderful. All looks well. Thanks, Jerry, for letting us know. And we are good to go. So let me just quickly tell you how this is going to flow, and then I'm going to introduce you to our special guest. So first of all, we are going to kick it off where I'm going to ask Lisa some questions, and hopefully that'll inspire some more questions that you're going to have. And then you can, if you will, type into the chat the moment you think about your questions, so that by the end today, we're going to go for 60 minutes. By the end of today, we have time to just go through as many questions as possible that Lisa's going to answer for you. Lisa's also going to tell you about a special opportunity that you have to work with her. And if you stay till the end, Lisa is giving you an amazing free gift. And that is, Lisa, it is
10 steps to a book proposal publishers will love.
Yeah, say it again.
10 tips to a book proposal publishers will love.
Well, welcome, Lisa. We are thrilled that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. And, you know, I have one technical difficulty. So if anybody saw my eyes darting around, I tried to open group chat, but I am not seeing the chat box.
Okay, don't worry. So what I'm going to do is when we get to the question and answers, I'm just going to say, Jerry has a question, and then I'll read the question to you, and then you can answer.
Okay, great.
Okay, so no worries. Yeah. Let me introduce you properly, Lisa. You are an award-winning book writing coach, and you are a faculty member on Harvard Medical School's CME Leadership and Publishing course, which you can tell us what that is and tell us about that in just a minute. And Lisa has helped thousands of aspiring authors finish their books and win 5- and 6-figure book deals with major publishers. This is so awesome, Lisa. So please tell us how you became a book writing coach, and tell us about your involvement with Harvard.
Okay. Well, it was sort of one of these odd stories where, you know, I wanted to publish my book, and it took me 7 years. So it took a really, really long time. I made every mistake you possibly can, and learned a lot in the process. And once my book got published, it's called The Ultimate Guide to Transforming Anger, I quickly realized I really didn't want to be leading anger workshops. I wanted to work with people's creativity and writing. And so I started to teach some of the tools that helped me in writing my book and getting published. And soon people were coming to me with book proposals. And then a colleague of mine, who was actually my publicist, Rusty Shelton, was presenting at Harvard Medical School's publishing course. This is a course offered once a year. It's mainly for people who are writing some kind of book that's health-related or well-being or mental health related, although there are always a few outliers there. And it's a fantastic 3-day whirlwind where you learn everything you possibly can about publishing that kind of book, mostly self-help and how to, some memoir too. You meet agents, you meet publishers, you get to pitch your book, you get a lot of feedback on your ideas. So it's kind of an amazing, amazing experience. And I've been doing that for over a decade now. I can't believe it.
Wow. Oh, Oh my gosh, Lisa, that's amazing. Tell us, we are so eager to learn about your insider secrets of, talk to us about this process. Like, how do you actually get a traditional publisher or agent to pay attention to your book?
Okay, so first of all, I'll tell you a little bit about the process because some people may not know. And that is, the first thing you have to do is write a book proposal. And writing a book proposal is like writing a business plan for your book. You will learn so much about your market, about the other books that are out there, and you'll also learn kind of what your book really is, right? You'll do that internal work too to get very clear about your book. And one book I highly recommend is How to Write a Book Proposal by Michael Larson. It's a fantastic resource, and it was the Bible I used to get my book published, and my co-authors and I used. And it is also the book that has landed these, it has served as a guide for my clients landing these 5- and 6-figure book deals with major publishers. So a fabulous resource. So you write that book proposal, and in a minute we can talk more about what goes into that. And then you research agents, you research publishers. You probably, if you have a big enough platform, right, if it looks like you can get a big publisher, then it pays to go directly to agents. And you send out a query letter. It's usually an email. And then they respond and let you know if it feels like a match to them, if they want you to send the book proposal. So you don't send the book proposal until it's requested by them. And then and here's a really good tip, this is a mistake people make, is in your subject line, you want to say requested book proposal attached and give some indication of the title or the subject. So that way it doesn't end up in the slush pile where, it takes months to get read or never gets read, but they know, oh yeah, this is something I requested. So that's basically the process. If you think that it's not really a big enough audience or big enough market to interest a traditional publisher, or a large publisher rather, then you can go directly to the publisher, a smaller publisher, maybe a niche publisher, a more academically oriented publisher. And let's see, this is a good example, Arts Awareness. This author went directly to the publisher. We did actually try some agents first, but when that didn't succeed, we went directly to publishers, and she got a wonderful book deal. And it's a terrific book, Arts Awareness by Patricia Hoy.
Tell us, if you will, what specifically are traditional publishers or agents looking for?
So, one of the biggest things they're looking for is, certainly with the big publishers, they're looking for, is this a big market? And not just a big market, but a market that's hungry for what you have to offer. So I'll give you an example. When Carrie Barron and we first met at the Harvard course, and she was pitching her book. She was calling it I'm Creative, But I Can't Create. And that to me seemed like maybe a smaller audience and not as hungry an audience, right? People will buy a book like that, but it didn't feel really hot. And so as we talked, I said, I think your market is not just people who see themselves as creative and see that as their biggest problem, but really people who are depressed, anxious, or unhappy, right? She's a therapist, and it was her clients. So I said, how about, so first of all, we got clear on that market, much bigger market and much hungrier, right? A really desperate market. And I think it was, also authentic, right? It was the right market. And I said, how about the creativity cure? And I have to admit, I don't always come up with the titles for my clients' books, but this one I did, and I think it was a really hot title, and played a role in her getting, the really fantastic 6-figure deal she got with Scribner. So what are they looking for? Yeah, so one of the things they're looking for is a big market and a hungry market. Another thing is that you have a platform. So that means, you're reaching a lot of people. Could be your mailing list, your blog, social media, could be your speaking engagements. It doesn't have to be everything. So sometimes people worry when they don't have a piece, just because you only have 1,000 people on Facebook or even 500, if everything else looks great, it may not matter. So it really is about the big picture and the whole picture when we're talking platform. Interestingly, this author really didn't have much of a platform. And as we started speaking and talking about platforms, she said to me, my husband's a hand surgeon. He has some interesting things to say about creativity, and he has a platform. He's been a guest on the CBS early show a couple of times. It was 2 or 3 times. And pretty sure he could get on again. He's very friendly with the producers. And that was a big selling point also. And he, he's a co-author, not just because of his platform, but the platform discussion is what ticked off her idea, though. And we realized he had some wonderful things to contribute about using your own 2 hands when it comes to creativity. So, and the third thing I'll say is that they're looking for is that it's fresh, right? Something that feels fresh, sounds fresh. It may be that you bring in a lot of current research. So she brought in a lot of current research on creativity. It may be this woman, step ahead of autism, and had an incredible story to tell. Her son was born severely autistic, and really didn't talk till he was 2 or 3. I think it was 3, and a lot of it was severe situation, and actually. T. Barry Brazelton, well-known MD in the field, he had recommended that she actually sent him to live at the May Institute, I think it's called, and she felt that wasn't the right decision for them. She really trusted her instincts, did the steps that she teaches in this book, and he went on to become valedictorian of his high school class. Wow. He went to Brown University. He went on to do postdoctoral research at the National Institute of Health, and had friends and was on the swim team. And he was severely autistic. So it's an incredible story. And I would say in her case, like, the story was what made it so fresh. Fresh, kind of, there are all different ways to be fresh, but those are some examples.
Well, and I think it also helps when you have a topic that can tap into, like, National Autism Day, or, you can tap into these other big events that happen as well, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And tapping into networks. There are organizations out there that focus on autism. They have websites, they have mailing lists. So if you can tap into that, that is absolutely beneficial. And another thing she did was she had that well-known forward writer. It was T. Barry Brazelton, best-selling author, hugely best-selling author, write the forward. And one reason that's such an effective technique, it's one of my favorite techniques, is having, or tips, is having someone like that write your forward. Because when people search for T. Barry Brazelton, they're going to find her book on Amazon. Amazon is a search engine, as you know, and have done so well with. So if you can have a best-selling author as your forward writer, Amazon considers that person an author as well, and it will really help your book get in front of people who are typing in that author's name.
And I just want to add in something to just to speak to what you're saying. A lot of times people say, well, I don't know a famous person. I don't know those big players. What I have found to be so amazing is that I always just tell people, just ask. You would be surprised how many people say yes. And in one of my books, I interviewed all of these really well-known people. And what amazed me is when I sent out my request to include them or have them do a cover quote, I mean, I would say 90% of the time it was a yes. So especially if they have enough time, like 3 months, something where you're not saying, I need this by next week, that people are pretty generous that way. Have you found that to be true too?
I have. And especially, also you don't have to wait till you're asking them, start being a team player and supporting them and being part of their community. So comment on their blogs, retweet their tweets. If you start out as a member of their community, then you're actually a known quantity that, oh yeah, I remember Tamara, she's commented on my post, she's always sharing my posts, and they really appreciate that. So that's another way to create some connection before you ask.
I love that. That's a great tip. So tell us, because I know many of us feel overwhelmed by the actual proposal process, because I do business planning and usually the eyes glaze over because it's like, what? So can you just break it down for us? Like, what are just the key elements that people need to be thinking about that would be included in the proposal?
Sure. So there's this overview, and the overview is going to take pieces of these other sections, kind of the highlights. You could think of it as the highlight or executive summary. So I won't say too much about that, except that it really needs to get people excited. Well, I'll say one more thing, that that in the overview, you want to start with, making sure that pretty quickly the publisher or agent gets a sense that A, you have a good sized platform, B, you have a good sized market, right, or a very hungry niche market, and C, that there's something fresh and unique, and they get a sense of why this book is so exciting. So all that should come across pretty quickly in the overview. And then the overview talks more about what the book is and describes it and talks more about markets and why you're the person to write it. So then there's markets for the book, and that's all about who's going to buy this book. There's primary markets and secondary markets. And primary markets, you really want, all the markets, you want to attach numbers to that. And my favorite resource, I'm giving you guys a lot of tips, is the census data, US Census data. You can come up with a lot of these numbers, but attach numbers to that market section. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make. Then after markets for the book, it doesn't always go in the same order. Sometimes people have in slightly different order, but your promotion plan, how are you going to get this book out there and reach people? And that should be based on a platform you already have. So if you want to teach webinars, then you really should teach some, and publishers aren't going to take it that seriously if you've never done it before. So definitely start doing the stuff that you say you're going to do in your promotion plan. Then there is a competitive analysis, competitive and complementary books, where you compare your books, similar and different, to the book you're writing, compared to, and you want to compare it to successful books. You want publishers to be thinking, oh, it's like this bestseller. And don't trash a book. Then after competitive books, you'll have about the author. So here's where you talk about your credentials, you talk about your platform. It's okay to be repetitive. Try to find new ways of saying the same thing, but absolutely, in your platform section, you need to talk about platform. In your overview, you need to do it, and in your about the author. And you also need to have a table of contents for the book, and a table of contents for the proposal, right? Two different things. You need to have chapter outlines or summaries that describe what's in each chapter, and you need a couple of sample chapters that really show how great your writing is and are compelling, and show off the features of your book and all those things. There's also a cover page, and so that's pretty much it. And you might have some additional links, or you could just have links within the proposal. But nowadays, most publishers and agents will go right to your website and check out your social media and see what kind of what your brand looks like online, right?
Yeah, no, I think that was really helpful how you just broke it down into those different chunks.
Mm-hmm.
And also, do you have a way for people to approach that? So, just one chunk at a time, so you don't, not to feel completely overwhelmed by the whole process. Is that?
Yes. And, if you get a little stuck on one, you can move to another section and come back to that section. Often I suggest doing the overview last, but just take some notes as you get ideas, because the overview, sometimes it's easier to write when you've written everything else, because you know what really stands out.
I love that, because I share oftentimes when I write my books, I usually don't write them in order. I create the order of the outlines, but then I jump in where I'm feeling inspired to write, and that's a way to overcome some of the barriers you may feel. I think also I just want to add, because census data is great for statistics. Another great one, Lisa, and I'm sure that you would agree, is because you mentioned it also, the association. So like, let's say it's the Autism Association. Oftentimes they have amazing market statistics and research already there available that you can take to build your case around your proposal.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
So listen, I'm sure that everyone wants to know what some of the common mistakes are that you find that authors are making.
Yeah. So I mentioned some of them. I would say one is that you don't back things up with data, right? So you want to back your numbers up with data. You want to have the sources. Now, you don't have footnotes in a book proposal, but you'll say things like, according to the US Census, blah, blah, blah. or according to, you know, and you might have a link to a website that has some information. But absolutely back things up. Publishers don't want to wonder if this is really true, or if you're, you know, doing it from the top of your head. And let's see, yeah, promising things that you haven't already done. Publishers really want to see that the majority of your promotion plan is based on things you've done. You've already created a platform. So I'd say one mistake is, you know, trying too soon without really doing some of the things that you plan to, or without having the platform. You know, having said that, I've had clients who didn't want to create a big platform, and we found niche publishers for them. So a traditional publishing deal, a publisher, particularly if it's a book with some great research and really new information, but the author just wants to do maybe a little bit of publicity, but doesn't want to like go crazy and do lots of speaking, or you know, get on TV, then, you know, sometimes we've gone with a smaller niche publisher that has a great catalog and sells to universities and things like that. So, you know, I would say too is really understanding what your vision and your goals are and what you're willing to do. Because I think sometimes people think, oh, I want a bestseller, but they're really not willing to do all the things that would take it to be a bestseller, particularly like a New York Times bestseller. So, you know, it's better to really know, you know, what do I really want to do? What will excite me and what will I enjoy? So that then when you actually implement it, it feels good and you'll keep doing it, as opposed to, oh, wow, I didn't know I didn't like public speaking. I'm not going to do that. And yet you promised it to the publisher, right? So that's another.
Those are great tips. And if you have questions for Lisa, make sure that you're typing them into the chat now. We're going to, you know, I'm going to ask her a couple more questions, and then we're going to jump over and she's going to tell us about her programs, and then we're going to jump over to you and allow you to ask as many questions as you have. Lisa, what are, I'm sure there are many of us who want to know, what are some of the key strategies that your clients have used, who have landed your biggest deals, like the 5- and 6-figure deals? What are those key components that that we can all be thinking about?
Sure. So Vince Verga is another person that I met. He's a vet, a behavioral vet, and we met at Harvard Medical School's publishing course. Might have been my first year there, I think. And we worked together on his book proposal, and then the next year they had a contest, and he brought his proposal and he won the book proposal contest. And, you know, he did a lot of great things. You know, one was really taking the time to find his voice as a writer, so that the writing really flowed and it came from a powerful place. Another thing he did was he had done some TV. He'd been on the Discovery Channel and some other things, and he showed that video on his website, and I'm sure that appealed to the publisher. And when the book actually came out, the New York Times had a video of him on the homepage, and they also had a big spread in the living section on a Sunday. I think it was on the front page, and then a big spread inside. So, you know, if you can show pictures, show video, show things, show why what you're talking about is so exciting. If that can come to alive on your website, that's going to be very exciting to publishers and agents when they go to your website and see that and say, oh yeah, we can really see this taking off. It also shows that you're very well spoken. So I'd say that was a really great strategy he used. Let's see, and I talked about her strategy. Oh, you know what, I'll talk about another strategy. So Craig Malkin, I don't meet all my clients at the Harvard course, but he is another one. A lot of the therapists and doctor clients I meet there. The coaches find me online or through word of mouth. But Craig actually came to me originally with a different book, and with that book proposal, we got a fantastic agent. But honestly, and actually, he didn't have any platform. So one of the things that I suggested that he do is to blog. And then I suggested that he blog for Psychology Today. So he wrote a fantastic pitch, and he pitched to Psychology Today and wrote really great posts. And some of his posts were very timely, like why you should care about Kim Kardashian's divorce, you know, and kind of what people could learn from it, right? Some takeaways. But he blogs about relationship. And so he was blogging on Psychology Today. He did a great job on Twitter, connecting with colleagues, sharing their posts, commenting on their posts, and has really done a great job of building community. And part of that is writing really great posts. The wording's great. They're very accessible. So if you want to study somebody who's doing it right, look up Dr. Craig Malkin, Malkin, and look at his posts on Psychology Today. So he had a bunch of posts that went viral, including one on narcissism. So interestingly, when his fantastic agent went to sell the first book, it was a really bad time for relationship books, and a few publishers had just bought some. They were really leery of even having any. Some publishers said, oh, there's such a glut. They weren't that interested. So even though it was a great book and based on research, and his agent, who has tons of experience, thought it would sell, it was just bad timing at the time. But it did show his eventual publisher, HarperCollins, that he could write. And so what happened was, the acquisitions editor over in London saw this post on Psychology Today that went viral, and it was about, I can't remember, it was like it was something to do with, like, are you dating a narcissist or something? And they asked, well, would you be interested in writing a book on narcissism? We're really interested. So they came to him. They already knew he could write because they'd seen the first proposal, and he got a 6-figure deal for this book. So, sometimes it's about, it's not always just about the current book, but really the whole package, right? And doing that platform building and sticking with it, even if at first you get a no. My first book, I got a no. I would say a lot of these books, let's see, trying to find one that had trouble getting, oh, here's a book that she just sent her query letter into this publisher, and I am guessing that it was some intern who never got past the intern, because she did not, I think she just got a regular form letter. And then a month after she self-published this book, it had a different cover, but this cover that they added is gorgeous. New Harbinger, an acquisitions editor at New Harbinger, approached her and said, we'd love to publish their book. And so the very publisher that had probably not even seen her book, really, right? It was probably an intern. Then ended up publishing, and of course now I'm very excited because now I have connections there and was able to get another client in the door. But at the time I did not. So sometimes it's also really important to not be stopped by the word no, and it may not progress the way you expect. And with our book, we had this huge problem. I don't know if I can reach it. Let's see. The first, I don't have the first cover, but the first cover had our cartoon on it. It looked fabulous, but it was the wrong dimensions. And actually, the sales force had said not to do those dimensions, and somebody decided to do them anyway. And so we couldn't get the book into stores. We were getting fabulous reviews, like in the Chicago Tribune. We got a great book review, and we still couldn't get the book into stores because they had a thing to only, do not replenish on this book, and it was because of the size. It stuck out of bookshelves and whatever. So we almost had a book that kind of fell apart, and instead we went back to the publisher and convinced them to republish it with a new name, because it needed a new ISBN number. And the book went on to sell, last check a few years ago, was 17,000 copies. So I'm guessing it's probably closer to 18 at this point. So, you've got to be persistent. Whatever gets in your way, see it as a challenge. You've got a big vision, and the universe is going to give you a few challenges to help you make it happen.
Well, and I love some of the tips that you gave, and that was, first of all, to blog, because all of us can blog, and it's free. And, if you have an area of expertise, it's really an easy way to give tips and provide information. And I understand that there are some statistics out there. I don't have the research in front of me, but how-to blogs are the #1 shared blogs on social media. So it's a really wonderful tip that you gave that people can do right away. And
Mm-hmm.
it helps get you known as an expert in the area. Also, I loved what you in your story that you talked about how that woman had, or your client had self-published, and then it was picked up by a major publisher,
Mm-hmm.
because that happens too. And so it's like, if you get no's, you can just stay the course and still put your book out there, but that these opportunities can also come up as well. So I love that. Lisa, what I'd love to do is I will switch over right now so people can see a little bit about the programs that you offer.
Great.
And we're going to jump straight in and power through as many questions as possible. So if you haven't put your questions in for Lisa, please type them in now. We're going to switch over to the slides for just a few minutes, and then I'm going to come right back and start with your questions. Okay, so let's share your slides. Hold on one quick second. And you should be seeing the screen right now. And are you seeing it?
Yes.
Perfect.
I am.
So this is really about your program, Fast Track Your Proposal. But Lisa, before you jump in and talk about this, you actually have 3 parts to this program. I do want to say that Lisa is giving you an awesome free gift for staying to the end today. And Lisa, why don't you tell us about what this is?
Sure. You know, I just thought of some of my favorite tips, and there's a few that we couldn't get into today. So I shared some with you, but there's a few that you'll find that we didn't get to talk about today, and they will really help you, A, save time and write a much better proposal, because I'm giving you some of my really great secrets that clients have used, that I've used with them to get great book deals and write really compelling proposals.
Wonderful. Okay, so just so you know, that will, if you stay to the end, Lisa this will be sent out directly following with the replay. Okay, so Lisa, tell us about your program. You have 3 different parts, right?
Yep. Yeah. So the bronze program. So what I wanted to do is, I had a lot of people have told me, I wish you had a program for writing a book proposal. And you know, I was working one-on-one with people, and I have a program for how to for writing a book. It's called Bring Your Book to Life, and it won the Stevie Award, Silver Stevie, for Best New Service of the Year in Media in 2012. So, and I have this fantastic technology where our classes are very, very interactive. So not only can I take polls to see where people are at, and people can get individual mics on the call, but I can actually do exercises where I put people in pairs and say, okay, we're going to do this exercise now. I want you to introduce yourself to the partner that you find yourself with, and answer this question. And then we're going to come back to the main group and share insights or challenges that came up or anything like that. So what I find is people get so much out of this rich learning environment that we hold these teleseminars in, and we'll have people from all over the world discussing their books and giving each other great ideas and brainstorming, and it's just this wonderful community where you get so much out of it. And you know, even when we talk about some tips, I'll share some tips, but people in the class will also come up with great tips and great ideas that then everybody wants to try. So like, you know, things like getting up an hour, or going to bed an hour earlier and getting up an hour earlier. So that came from somebody in the class, and then everybody tried it and it worked for them. So so it's really a great environment. And what I've done with the program is, in May, you're going to get and this is actually part of my Bring Your Book to Life program too, but it's the pre-work. It's called Quick Start to Kickstart Your Book. And that's where you get really clear on the book concept. What is my book? Who's the market exactly? You know, what are people going to get out of it? What am I putting in the book, and what am I not putting in the book? How am I going to structure the book? What are some of the features, the tone of the book? All of those decisions you work through Quick Start and get some clarity. And you're going to do that in May, and probably start to really get more detailed into your outline, and also start to write a sample chapter or 2. And then in June, we have the actual teleseminars where we're going to go over all the different aspects of the book proposal. And you also get a second set of course materials. It's a workbook called The Savvy Author's Guide. No, The Savvy Author's Book Proposal Workbook. It's changed its name a couple times as I worked on it. But it's the Savvy Author's Book Proposal Workbook, and you'll get this workbook with worksheets to fill out so that you can get clear on all the pieces in your proposal before you actually write it. And you're going to get fantastic tips from me. You'll get lots of great examples of things that my clients have done for different sections of the proposal. And that is sort of the basic program. And the bronze program, there's a website it's a member-only website just for our class, where there's a blog where you can ask questions during the week. Of course, I'm available to you too if needed, and a lot of resources on that site. And then all of our calls are recorded as well. And there's an optional accountability partner system that helps you stay writing and committed. And it's just 5 simple questions that really keep you on track. You never get in that place of victim, like, oh, this happened, that happened. It's much more empowered, like, this worked, this didn't work, so here's what I'm doing next. And so all of that comes with the bronze program. And Vicki Dunkley is an example. I didn't have the bronze program at the time, but she took my Bring Your Book to Life program. And then we also worked private. She actually took it twice. She took it once to write the book, and then because she really felt she needed to write the book first. Usually write the proposal first, but she felt she needed to do that. And then she took it a second time to write the book proposal, and we worked together on her proposal very closely. And she got a wonderful, really wonderful agent and a book deal with New World Library. And her book is a great book if you're interested in the effects of electronics on children's brains. So let's go to the silver program, I think. And so the silver and gold programs, now you will get a private you'll get everything you get with the bronze, obviously, but then you get a private one-on-one book concept consultation with me. And in that consultation, we clarify the overall concept of your book, the markets, features, all of those things. And really fine tune it. And it's an exciting thing. That's the kind of consult where we suddenly take it from something that maybe is interesting to something that is really stand out, really exciting. Everybody wants it, right? That's the goal. Let's see. So yeah, that one-on-one book concept consultation, and I'll also review your outline as many times as you need to get clear on that outline, and make sure your book appeals to the right target market. So, and if you need more than one consultation to get that clarity, that's fine. It comes with that program. And like I said, continued feedback on your outline until you're really confident that it's solid and it's what you want. And then I give you feedback on the entire proposal. So you can go section by section, or you can give it to me all at once, and you will get detailed feedback. I'll go line by line. So every little thing, I'll make suggestions. I might rewrite a little piece of it. I will give you ideas maybe for your platform building or other kind of brainstorming ideas for your book promotion plan. And that includes your sample chapters. So the silver program is a really great way to have me give you input into every single part of the proposal.
Lisa, where were you when I was writing my book proposal? Oh my gosh, just to have someone, just with your expertise to go through line by line, I would have given anything for that. So that is so awesome. So talk about the Gold program, and then we're going to jump over and answer. We have a lot of questions coming in.
Okay. So Gold program is all of the above, right? Plus you get this feedback on editing on your sample chapters up to 3 additional times. Now, why is that so important? Well, do you think most authors, write once through, somebody edits it, they make those corrections, and that's it? Usually not, right? A good book goes through several edits to make it really great. And so you'll get several edits from me, right? You get that one time from the silver and 3 more. So you get 4 edits. And in addition to regular editing, we do proofreading at the end, because agents and publishers are looking at tons of books, And sometimes the difference between one and another is just which is going to be easier for me. Oh, wow, this one has a lot of errors. I'm going to need to edit myself. I'm going to need to, have a proofreader. Or this one, which seems pretty perfect. And I remember actually Jean Fredericks, who was the agent on this book, said to me, I love your proposals. I didn't have to change a thing on that proposal. So, when they see, wow, it's a great proposal and I don't have to do anything, it's really exciting because these are very, very busy people. So you also get feedback and editing and on all sections of your book proposal up to 2 additional times. So there's 1 from the silver, 2 from the gold. So you get 3 total. And then up to 4 additional private phone calls with me. So how might you use those? So you'll use one, that 1 from the silver you'll use for your book concept consultation, but you have 4 more. So we can use those to brainstorm your promotion plan and platform building. And, I have lots of great ideas usually for my clients, and pretty confident that you'll benefit. We can also brainstorm ideas for an overview that really hooks agents and publishers, right? That overview is so important. And often it's that first line or first paragraph that really brings them in. You'll get a quick breakthrough if you feel stuck. Sometimes people really like to use that because they get to points where they need some more input. And I have a wonderful exercise. It's a guided visualization that I do all the time with people. I call Meet Your Muse. And that's a powerful way to get clarity or have a breakthrough and or answer a question that you're asking about your book. So you get that, and let's see, or you could use your 4 calls as a biweekly check-in or something like that. So lots of creative way to use those calls. And don't worry, if you get a first draft of your proposal at the end of June, but you are working on your proposal July and August, that's no problem. Actually, publishers and agents are generally on vacation July and August. It's really the time, it's the downtime. So if you're in the program, you can be using July and August to polish and finish your proposal. You can also be using it to do some more platform building so that you'll have an even better case to make come September. So those are the 3 programs.
Great. And then, so how do we learn more about this? First of all, there is a link, which I'm going to drop right now into the chat, where you can go and learn more about the 3 programs. And Lisa has also put her direct email address right there on the slide, where and there's the link, by the way, in the chat. And people can email you, right, Lisa, to find out about which program would be the best fit for them?
Absolutely, and I'm happy to chat about it. I've set aside a bunch of time in my calendar. I have a scheduling thing where people can schedule a time to have like a 20-25-minute chat to explore. I also, in addition, if those times don't work, just suggest sometimes. I'm planning to be available this weekend too. And I do have this early bird pricing, which expires May 10th. So, the sooner we explore, the better. So you can really get clarity on which program is for you while we still have that wonderful special pricing.
Okay, perfect. Let's jump in. I'm going to leave that up on the screen so that you can get Lisa's information right there. And then let's answer questions. Sharon is asking, how exactly do you research editors?
Great question. So, and I don't know if she's talking acquisitions editors or editors. So maybe I'll talk about both.
Right.
So, so they're editors like me who will edit your book proposal, edit your book. And, one way is to see, I would do some internet research. You want to talk to, you may want to talk to somebody who's worked with that editor to make sure it's a good fit. And how else? You might look at books that are similar to yours and see if they thank their editor and see who that is. And word of mouth is a great way to get a good editor. So an acquisitions editor, on the other hand, is the person at the publishing house. And basically, if you're not going the route of an agent, if you can get an agent, I strongly recommend it because there's so much they bring to the table. I have a bunch of blog posts that talk about that, and you can search my blog if you want. But if you're, maybe it's too small an audience, or for some reason you want to go directly to publishers, you go to the publishing website and they do have submission guidelines, and you can find out how to submit. Usually it's by email. Most publishers, you'll submit a query, before you submit the whole proposal. But with some of the more academic publishers, you often submit the whole thing at once. So it really, it does depend on the publisher. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, great. And then Audrey's asking, what if your books are self-published? Does this basically shoot you out of the ball game? Do you just need the manuscript, even though it is a book? I have a list of agents from Writers Market 2016. I do not have any platform. I write for spirituality and consciousness area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is sort of the magic number you'll hear over and over again. It obviously is different for each category of book, and anything I say, there are generally exceptions to the rule. But generally, a publisher is looking, once you self-publish, for 15,000 books sold. So if you think, oh, I'm going to go to a publisher and they're going to market my book for me, no, that is one of the most common author mistakes, is thinking that the publisher will promote your book. They sometimes do some, but not a lot usually. The majority of book promotion and the majority of book sales is really up to you. So they want to see you can do it, and they want to see about 15,000 books sold. Once you've done that, then you're more likely to get a publisher. And you may or may not need a book proposal. You probably need something. It might be a shorter book proposal, but they still want to see, what's your promotion plan for selling? You've sold 15,000, but how are you going to sell more now? So generally, they're going to want to see some kind of proposal in addition to the book.
Okay, great. And several people have asked, what about fiction books?
Okay, so that is not my expertise. Fiction is a little different. You don't necessarily need a book proposal, but you need other things like a synopsis and the whole manuscript, right? The book needs to be written. So it is a different process.
And so you're saying the book has to be written, it wouldn't be a proposal. So basically you'd probably still send the query letter with a little synopsis of what the book's about, and then you'd have to submit the full manuscript if there was interest.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, perfect. And so Tara, I think maybe Tara or Tara, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. This may have already been answered, but she said, do you approach a publisher or agent after the book is completely done? And I think you said it could be done both ways, right? But proposals, go ahead.
Yeah, it can. I mean, the conventional wisdom is it's better to write the proposal, because an agent or publisher may want to change things, and then you're not going to have to rewrite or get rid of a whole chapter or whatever. So generally, it's often a good idea to just write the proposal, which does include 2 very strong sample chapters that are totally polished, and then the chapter outlines. But there are exceptions to the rule, and one of the benefits of writing the whole book first is you're really clear on what the book is. So sometimes you need to write the whole book just to get that clarity, or the book evolves as you write it. So you'll know in your heart, and I do have an exercise again, that Meet Your Muse, where we can get that clarity if you feel you might need to write the whole book first. The other benefit of writing the whole book first is it's a shorter process now, because the whole book's ready. You're not going to have that pressure of, okay, you signed a contract and now you need a book in 6 months that's totally polished and done. So it takes some pressure off you. And if your acquisitions editor leaves that house, the book is orphaned. That's not a good thing. You don't have that champion for the book. So it makes that process shorter now between buying the book and publishing the book. And it's more likely your acquisitions editor still is going to be in that same position and able to continue to be a champion for the book. So those are, some pros and cons to give you a sense.
Okay, and Anne is asking, what about using old standard information with a new approach?
Absolutely, absolutely. That can be a very fresh way to do things. So a new approach, especially if it's proven, if you're doing webinars or classes, or you work with clients and you've used this approach and it's proven, absolutely, that can be a great selling point.
It's interesting. A perfect example of that, I think, is Susie Orman, because the information that Susie shares is not, it's been around for a really long time, but it's really the way in which she talks about it and the way she packages it, the same information. So I always think that's an example of exactly what you're asking, Anne.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, B says, I had an agent try to extort money from me after he had my manuscript. Thank God I only had a 6-month contract. How do you know if an online agent is reputable?
Great, great question. So there is a website called Predators and Editors, and you know what?
I'll write it in.
Okay, it's Predators and Editors, and in there
And
you can look up an agent and see if they're reputable. But an agent should not be asking for money. Actually, to be a member of the Association of Author Representatives, the AAR, I think those are the right initials. But to be a member, one of the requirements is that you are not being paid by your clients until you sell that book, and then the agent gets paid directly and then pays you out of what they're paid. But usually it's 15% so they get 15% of your advance and 15% of your royalties. So they shouldn't be asking for money up front. More and more agents are adding a piece to their agency where they have some editor. It's a little bit of, it's definitely a gray area, and you're probably better off getting a freelance editor rather than working directly with an agency, because that is a conflict of interest. And that's why the AAR, doesn't want them to do that.
I love that you said that, because I agree with you completely with getting an outside editor so that you're not like held captive.
Yeah, that too. Right.
Yeah, and that was the exact percentage, by the way, with my book deals with McGraw-Hill, is my agent received 15%. So that was right, exactly what I experienced as well. So James, I believe Lisa's answered your question about fiction and novelists, and that is that you would not have to do a proposal. You just do a synopsis in your query letter. And then if they were interested, then we would follow up by sending them the manuscript. Is that right, Lisa?
Yeah, I would say that things are changing all the time. And since fiction is not my expertise, I could be wrong. They may be more interested than ever in platform and things like that. So I would really look at submission guidelines, and I'd read a book on it. I'd find, kind of the equivalent of how to write a book proposal for a fiction book, whatever the equivalent is, how to sell your fiction or something like that.
Okay, perfect. Audrey's asking, I'm having some of my books recorded as audiobooks before I send to agents. Is this a good idea? I thought I would be able to make more profit doing this. Is this a good idea?
So, an agent is going to want to represent you for the rights for more than the book, right? The audio, any video. I mean, they'd like to represent whatever they can, because then that's, how they make their money too. So if you were creating the audio and they're not selling it to someone, it sounds to me like that may not be the best way to go. If that's the same person who self-published, I mean, maybe the audio can help you sell a bunch of copies, and then if you sell the 15,000, you can get more interest. So I can't say for sure. If you're self-publishing, then I think it's a great idea to do audio in addition. But if you're looking for a publisher, I would hold off. And sometimes people wonder, this sort of related question about putting a chapter on their website. And the conventional wisdom I get from agents and publishers, and last year at the Harvard course, there was a big resounding no as a consensus. So I would say, if you're self-publishing, do what you want. But if you're looking to traditionally publish, I would not offer a free chapter.
Okay, and why is that?
Publishers and agents felt that once you're giving part of the book out free, it actually can
dilute the.
Yeah, it sort of gives a certain impression. I mean, I would say what you could do, like I think what you do so well, Tamara, is if you've got video in the book, the video, some of the video can be out there for free. Maybe not all of it, but some of it. So there are other things you can do, but I don't. I would say at least the publishers and agents who were at the conference were saying don't put a free chapter on your website.
Okay, that's good. That's good information. Liz is asking, for a book proposal, is a book outline better or a preview of 1 to 4 chapters?
No, a book proposal. So this is one of the things, again, the mistakes people make. Do what they tell you, right? They ask for chapter outlines or summaries, and they ask for 1 to 2 sample chapters. Do what they're asking for.
Okay, great. And Lisa, you're the expert here, but I'll just say from my own experience, when I submitted my book proposal, this is before I knew you. I mean, I did very short summaries of each chapter.
Yeah, yeah.
Surprisingly short. It was just honestly, I had just a paragraph or a few paragraphs, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd say, if you've written a memoir and the writing is gorgeous, maybe you do want to include a short excerpt from each chapter at the beginning of each chapter summary. But generally, I'd say often short is really good. And then it depends too. If there are a lot of books out there on the market that are similar and you really want to differentiate with the information that's in there, maybe a little longer is helpful. So, it's specific to your book and the publisher, the particular acquisitions editor and their preferences. But I wouldn't worry too much about that. As long as it's strong, if your agent wants longer chapter outlines or summaries, they could always come back to you and say, well, let's flesh this out a little more. But that's one of the things I'll help somebody with too, is I'll have a sense of this needs to be longer, or we need to flesh this out by adding X, Y, and Z. That's often an area that I see people have a challenge with.
Okay, perfect. We're going to keep on going. We have 4 more minutes, but I did just put in the free gift. Thank you for sticking in here with us. They were wonderful questions. And I just put the link for Lisa's free gift and on the tips for, write 10 tips for a book proposal. And you'll have to just click on that link and you can opt in right now, and that'll be sent to you. Okay, good. Let's just go through a couple more questions, Lisa.
Okay.
And okay, wait a minute. And so Sophia said, let's see, would that book, How to Write a Book Proposal, be beneficial for fiction authors? Oh.
No.
Okay, that's for nonfiction specifically.
For nonfiction, yeah.
Okay, and then, and then B says, I have several books self-published on Amazon, but I want a publisher now. So do I tell them about the books on my initial email?
First of all, before you send initial email, the book proposal needs to be done and really polished before you send anything in, because you want to be able, once they say they're interested, you want to be able to send that proposal immediately, right, while they're excited, while it feels fresh. But they are going to want to know, and they're going to want to know what your sales are. And if the sales are not that strong, it's going to be a tough sell. So either, I would say, really work on your sales for those first books, or at least one of them. Make sure you get one of them really up there so you have something exciting to say, or it could be kind of a strike against you. But they're going to see it up on Amazon probably. So, you are going to, and they can look up sales numbers. So do your best to get those numbers up.
Yeah, and I think also be really accurate and honest about your sales, because as Lisa just said, they actually can look them up on the and so you really want to make sure that you're representing everything accurately. And but I think that's really good advice. And so let's see. Do we have any more questions, or is that it? Linda, opt-in just means that I just put the link in there, and you'll just have to click on that link and add your name and email address, and then you will automatically receive the gift that Lisa is sharing with us today. Okay, perfect. And I think that's it, Lisa, in terms of questions. So let me just jump right back on camera for a second. First of all, let me just review really quickly before I do. Make sure that you get Lisa's direct email, lisa@lisatenner.com. If you're interested in learning more about the Fast Track program, you can go here. I've already put that into the chat, or you can see it right here on the screen. So it's a bit.ly link, and then it's Fast Track Your Proposal. And then Lisa has set aside time to see what program might be best for you. Lisa, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I forgot to mention that the bronze program is open to anyone, and the silver or gold, there is an application process. And the reason for that is, I can't work on 20 book proposals at once. So I want to make sure that I'm mindful of my time, and also to make sure that it's a book I feel like I can contribute to your success. And I think it's likely that we can get an agent, a publisher for that book. So, so fill out that application. It's not meant to be an exclusive thing. It's really more about whether I think I can help you. And if not, if I feel like, oh, that's an area I'm not as experienced, I might have a colleague with lots of experience. For instance, I have a colleague who's done a lot of cookbooks, and she's done book proposals for them. So even if you fill it out and I may not be the perfect person for you, you could still do the bronze program and work with my colleague, for instance. So, so it's really about finding the best fit for you so that you're likely to have success, because you know, I want you to be successful with this program. I'm not just here to take your money and hope for the best. So that's the reason for the application process. It's really for best fit. The other thing I'll say is, you know, as you know, Tamara, it's such an exciting thing to write a book, and it expands you in ways that you don't even realize when you first set out to do it, and the opportunities that come up. I just had a client who asked me to come and teach in Thailand, which I'm really excited about. And it was a childhood dream to travel to Thailand at some point. Must have been like from The King and I or something. So so you just never know where your book is going to lead you and where becoming a published author can lead you. And I know wonderful things will happen for you when you write your book and write your book proposal. So enjoy the process. And if I can help you, if I can be part of that journey with you, it will be my honor and pleasure. And I have a blog, so feel free to come on there and ask your questions too. I'm always answering questions on the blog, and I love to stay in touch.
Lisa, how do people find your blog?
It's lisatenner.com/blog. Or if you go to lisatenner.com and just hit the blog tab.
Okay, and Lisa, thank you so much for sharing your information today. I found it to be really informational and really helpful just to hear from your perspective. You've helped so many people land these big deals, and so to hear it from you was really an amazing opportunity for everyone who's here today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to be with all of you. So thank you so much, Tamara, and thank you for everyone for your great questions and sharing this time with us.
Take care, everyone. Bye.